Computer audio. Okay, I am now in. So I'm looking for my participants. I see two. Okay, admit, admit. Okay, I think we're in there.
Okay.
All right. Okay. We should be good.
All right.
Thank you. Gentlemen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I am having computer issues today, or it's my issues. I'm not sure exactly which. So I'm sorry we're late, but we will get going here. I'm trying to get everybody in.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right.
Okay, it looks like we have 5 participants. It's great, guys.
There I are.
Well, I'm going to say happy Saturday, although I'm not sure how happy it is right with me right now.
Welcome to Computer Problems.
Oh, it always happens when you're trying to do stuff. So, well, welcome to the Treasures class for Leadership Academy 2022. I do have the presentation, which I have used in the past, but I thought maybe trying something a little bit different than just going through those slides. If there's anything specific that you want to talk about or that you're having issues with, maybe we could start with that and see where we can progress from there. Is there anything that just a burning desire to know about?
Well, I just need more how-to on how to file this, how to file this, how to file this, how to
Okay,
file 1099s. That's true.
okay. 1099s, okay, filing, that's good. Anything else anybody has specifics? Guy coming here comes James. Good morning, James. Good morning, Jim. Okay, maybe he can't hear me. Well, let's go ahead and start with these filings, because obviously that's really important to keep the chapter in compliance with everybody. The first thing that you're going to need to file in the year is your 1099s and 1096s. Those are the IS forms that you pay when you're paying your director or a quartet. Anybody over $600, they need to have a 1099 NEC. That used to be miscellaneous. The new forms as of last year are 1099 NEC. And then the 1096.
1099 and the 1099 EC or 1099?
It's 1099 NEC.
Any
For
NEC.
non-employee
NEC, non-employee compliance
Contribution,
or contribution. I mean, thank you.
I think.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's NEC anyway.
Yep.
And they changed that last year. We used to do a 1099 miscellaneous. And they changed that last year to the 1099 NEC. There was an announcement from BHS about that, but they sent it out like, I'm going to say the 29th or the 30th of January, which was also late for anybody to get their new forms. So you do that for anybody who you pay over $600 or more.
And a director is counted as a non-employee.
That is correct. Director, guest quartets. Even if you hired another chorus, that would also take 1099. What I do is, especially when we do the contracts with the directors, we use an assistant director and a director. I have them file with me a W-9, so I get their social security number, the mailing address, everything. So I have that available the next time I have to do the report. Same thing when our chorus hires a quartet. I send them the W-9. I ask them to fill that out, send that back.
Or another example could be a videographer that charges $600. Anybody,
Exactly.
anything.
Anybody.
$600. Yeah.
Over $600, right? Coaches, whatever. That form needs to be filed with the IRS by January 31st. The way I read the law back when this was happening is there could be a hefty fine for not getting that in on time. So you want to make sure that after the 1st of January, you start filling out those forms and getting the 1096 and the top copy of the 1099 to the IRS.
And the 1096 is what?
That's a copy that goes to the IRS with the top copy of the 1099. Let me see here. I know this is going to be backwards and you're probably not going to be able to see this very well. This is the 1099 NEC, and there are actually 3 forms, 1 copy. So you could do 3 different individuals or groups on 1 form. If you only need 1, you have to mark the next 2 void. Tear off the top, don't separate this. Keep the top copies incomplete. And that goes with, uh-oh. I think I must have used up all my 1099 or 1096s. There's also a red form. And you just attach this, it asks on that form how many 1099s you're sending in, 1, 2, 3, whatever, and then the total of all of them on that 1096. And that gets mailed to the IRS office out here. I can't remember where it gets mailed to.
For us, it gets mailed to Kansas City.
Kansas City, that's right. Yeah, to Kansas City. And then,
In Iowa.
yeah. So make sure that those 2 forms are sent to the IRS by January 31st. To get those forms, I found this little sheet that I keep right by my computer. To get the forms, you go to irs.forms or /forms, excuse me. And
Say that again. IRS what?
hang on a second. It says irs.gov/forms.
Okay,
And I always order mine in either June or July to make sure that I have them when the time comes.
And they are year specific.
They are definitely year specific. So every year you have to order them. I don't know. Someone told me, because I checked with our IRS office here in Des Moines. They did not have these forms to issue. So you have to order them. They're free. They don't cost anything. Don't go down to Office Depot and buy a pack of 25. Just order from the IRS. They come in free. You get a pack of them and however many you want. I always order extra because I have a tendency to mistype when I type those up and I have to start over. I have an old typewriter that doesn't like me. So I also know that there is ways you can buy, you can pay to have the form online and enter it online, but I have not done that.
You mentioned the W-9.
Yes,
The W-9 comes in several different versions up in the upper left-hand corner. And it must be the 2018 version.
yeah,
I tried sending out some 2011s one time and the business wrote back and said, no, I gotta have the 2018 version.
right.
You can fill those out on the computer.
Yeah, that makes it real. You go down to look for the W-9 off the IRS website. And when you download that, you can actually fill that in, print it off. Then you're all set to go.
But you do have to manually sign it and put in the date.
Correct.
They won't let you put that in.
That's correct.
When do we need the W-9? I don't think. I've-
Anytime you hire somebody, just to have it on record.
Oh, okay, that's not a yearly thing. That's a new.
No, it's not necessarily yearly. For my director, I had one that was signed 3 years ago. I just keep it because that gives me his social security number, and I just keep that in the file. When we were doing live performances, and we had guest quartets coming in after they signed their contract with our chorus manager, I would email them a W-9, ask them to fill it out and have them return it to me. I didn't care when I got that back. They could wait until show date, fill it out if they wanted to. Or they could sign it and email it back to me, scan it, email it back to me. I always kept that with the show stuff. Same way with coaches. When we hire Kevin Keller to come in and coach us, Kevin will not email or mail it back. He always hands it to me in the hand. He doesn't trust his information going anywhere else, which is fine. But once I have it, then I'm all set. For the district level, I do that for our web design, our webmaster at, and then also Mark Fertino, our videographer for the contest. I send him a 1099. Of course, we haven't had that contest for a couple of years, so I haven't had to do that. Just for Matt is all I've done. So, but
We sell advertising in our annual show program, and
Uh-huh.
not businesses ask me for our W-9.
exactly. Yep. And we have the same thing, especially if we're doing like nursing homes or assisted care facilities. We have a medical group that wants to have one. So it's just real easy to start when you're starting that process, get one filled out, scan it in, and when they want it, you just send it to them. Yeah. I was asked this year if I couldn't put that on, because we're getting ready to start our show stuff. If I couldn't put that on our website in our members only center where they could pull that off and give it to their respective advertiser. I haven't done that yet, but I will probably do that.
Where are you located, Larry?
Des Moines, I'm
Larry?
in Des Moines.
Oh, okay.
And John, where are you, what chapter are you with?
Cord Busters, Davenport, Iowa.
Okay, all right, great. And George, where are you?
Topeka.
Topeka. And Tom, you're
Iowa City.
in Iowa City, okay. Dave, where are you from?
Hey, I'm from Leavenworth.
Leavenworth, great. Okay, and Jim? I should know where Jim is. Jim, you can unmute yourself and tell us where you're from.
I
Okay.
think you can unmute him. I don't know how.
Well, I just clicked on ask to unmute, so I don't know.
Didn't work, huh?
It didn't work. I haven't hosted one of these before, so I could be screwing everything up. I'm really not sure. We use Zoom for our board meetings now. We don't even go to in person. And
Well, yeah,
which
far as
makes it
getting
really
out.
nice for two reasons. One, our guys don't have to drive because we have several from out of town. And two, there's no side conversation, which shortens up the meeting a lot. Okay, any other issues or questions about the 1099 NEC?
No,
Okay,
but mention what we need to send to, for example, our director. What I believe that would be the 1099 NEC only.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a, let me see here. I think it's a 5-part form. And there's 5 pages here. The back page, it says for payer, so that's you. So you keep that for your records. And the others, the top copy goes to the IRS. That's the red copy. And then the other 3 copies go to your director or whoever you're sending those to. And those that you tear apart. I don't tear apart the last page, so I can keep it just as a full page. Then I don't have to worry about it. And like I say, the top copy, don't tear those apart, those stay together. And then it goes with the 1096 to Kansas City. The other forms that you're going to have to fill out, and that's the 990. Most choruses can do the postcard online. That's if your chorus is making less than $50,000 a year. You can go onto the IRS website. There is instructions on the BHS website on how to do that. It's just a simple card. You fill out the information. You state that you didn't make $50,000 a year in gross sales. That's gross sales, not net. And then you file that, and within probably about 48 hours, you'll receive a copy of confirmation that they received it. What I have done in the past is I take that confirmation and I download it or upload it, however you talk, to the BHS website under the financial filings. And that proves that you have filed your 990 for the year. We've had years where obviously we didn't make the 50,000, But because we have a couple of grantors who request the top or the first page of the 990 EZ for their grants, I have to fill out the 990 so that they can have that part.
Larry,
Hello, Super Dave.
Larry, I've done the 990N postcard for 3 years. I've never
Yeah.
received any confirmation back that they
You
received.
didn't.
No.
That's unusual because I've always got confirmations back. I don't know.
It's 990-N, I think that.
Right, 990-N, that's the postcard deal for less than 50,000.
I get the confirmation almost immediately, just zap, it's.
Yeah,
Unless I'm not
Seems like-
remembering, I don't know.
well, the other thing, you might want to check your junk mail after you file that.
I always do that.
Yeah, okay, all right. Because that would be the only other thing I could think of, is that it would go into the junk mail. Super Dave, how are you? He's not going to talk either. You can unmute yourself and say hi.
This is the part where somebody flips around trying to find the mute button and
Yeah. Down at the bottom left-hand corner. I'm going to click on ask to unmute. All these guys. Sorry to intrude. I'm still waiting for the secretary Zoom to begin. Oh, okay, Dave. Well, welcome while you're waiting for that. I didn't know that they were having issues also. So this is the first year that we've done Leadership Academy this way on our own Zoom. Last year we did it during midwinter, and we got into VHS's Zoom meetings, and that worked out fairly nicely. He had to create an avatar, and I look a lot better as an avatar than I do in person. Let's see, 990s. Like I say, because of a couple of grantors that we have, I end up having to do the 990 EZ. They only want the top copy, but that works out for them, and I do that. I did get a notice from the IRS that the last couple of years, of course, we didn't have the 50,000, that I might be forced to do the postcard. I haven't checked into that totally yet, but I have to ask one of the guys in our course about that. He was an H&R Block filer, and he retired, but I need to find out for sure what to do that. And that needs to be filed with the IRS by May 15th. And again, a copy of that needs to be put on your filings on the Member Center 2.0, which doing that is always kind of confusing to me, but it's a two-step process. You have to create the file, then you have to go back out and edit the file and add your document to it. But it can be done. And I don't think we have any choruses except maybe ambassadors who file the full 990s, because they make quite a bit of money on all their shows and everything.
Larry, a couple of years ago, you mentioned a DUNS number. What is it, and do we need one?
A DUNS number is for credit reports, if I remember right. You can go to, well, I just type it, when I Googled it, I typed into Google DUNS, D-U-N-S, and I put in our federal ID number, and it pops up. Everybody has one. It's automatic to get one. I don't know if it's really important. I think only once have I been asked that for the district. I have not had anybody at the chapter level ask for a DUNS number. But it's nice to have if
Okay.
you can find it.
Okay, thanks.
But it is easy to find too. If you just go to, when you Google DUNS number, you can pull that up. Let's see. The other thing that we're talking about filings is incorporation. Because each state has its own laws and criteria. I know in Iowa, we have to file every other year. So it's on the odd year that we have to file our incorporation papers. Very simple process. They just fill out the form, you send it in, you list the officers, and you're done with it. In Iowa, it doesn't cost anything. I believe in Kansas, it might.
It's $40.
Is it $40? I was going to say 25, but it's 40. Okay.
And it's
So-
annual.
And it's annual. Oh, okay. I was thinking that probably about, I'm going to say 20 some years ago, the district was incorporated in Kansas. I remember right. And when Paul Cartwright took over as treasurer, he didn't want to pay that fee, so he incorporated the district in Iowa. And like I say, it's no charge every other year. It's real simple. I just get an email from the Secretary of State. I fill out the form, send it in, get it, make a copy of it, PDF. And then I list that on the financial filings on the member center also. So that's just done every other year for us. Who else? Let's see. How much, does anyone know how much there is in whatever state you're in? Lawrence, how much, Lawrence, Kansas, is that $40?
Well, it'd be the same for Lawrence as it is for Topeka.
Yeah.
$40.
Okay. Yeah.
We gotta, Kansas needs the money. They gotta keep a constabulary force to protect the north and east border from infiltrators coming down.
I see. Okay, well, I guess the $40 a year from all your corporations would help do that.
Yeah. Tom's looking at me like, what the hell's he talking about?
Anything else on any of the
Sure,
filings that you have questions on?
I'm afraid I've not done this incorporation filing.
Well, you better check on that because you can lose your nonprofit status if you don't.
I got absolutely no help when I started the job. to
Yeah.
tell me.
The best thing to do is to call the Secretary of State, tell him, and when I call any government group, I always play the dumb and say,
Yeah.
hey, I just got this started. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me out? And the majority of the time, they're very helpful.
Yeah. All
But
right,
if you
Tom,
just put
Tom, where are you at, Tom?
Iowa City.
Oh, Iowa City. So I don't know about Iowa.
Yeah,
Kansas, you just got, actually Kansas, once they got you, they start pinging you. If you're the same person from the
Yeah.
previous year.
and that's what, whoever is the registered agent will get the notice, and possibly there might be a registered agent somewhere else who could be doing that and not letting you know.
Okay.
So I would check with your board, see if anybody is a registered, is the registered agent. It doesn't have to be a board member. It can be anybody in the chapter. And then check with the Secretary of State. They should be able to tell you who the registered agent is and if you have filed.
Oh, okay.
Because that's going to be, it's very important to keep that up to date.
I thought there was also a general renewal if your incorporation document ran out after 50 years or whatever. Am I thinking right? Was there some other time limit for, or is this it?
I think this is just it. I don't know of anything
All right.
else.
Okay.
But I would
Unfortunately,
certainly check with the Secretary of State.
unfortunately, our attorney in the chorus, it was a quartet member, died last year, and he would have been a great resource, but I will do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The secretary should also be involved in that.
JP might know about this.
Yeah. And
Okay.
JP could be a registered agent and be filing it without
Yeah.
anybody's knowledge, although they should be letting you know so that it can get filed on to the member center.
JP doesn't always work that way, no.
I know he doesn't.
He does stuff.
I understand. I understand.
He does it, but he doesn't always let you know.
Yeah, and I mean, he does it, but yeah, I understand. But find out about that and then
I will. Good,
keep that, keep your incorporation status up to date.
yes.
Any other filings that you can think of that you want to know about? I mean, those are the three basic. You got your 1099s, your 990s, and your incorporation. The other thing that you need to have done each year is a financial review. That's not an audit. There are guidelines. I was trying to pull up the guidelines this morning and it screwed up my computer. So I don't know if my file was corrupted or what, but under the BHS website, your documents, there are guidelines to do the financial review. I actually do one for the Kansas City chapter here. They send me this stuff and I do their financial review. We have a guy in our chorus that does it. We've had several over the years do it, but it's a simple process. They just want to make sure that your account 100, your operating fund, is not used for any social activities. That's against IRS regulations, because that's a restricted account. Your unrestricted account, which would be like your chapter dues, can be used for social activities or those type of things. So the financial review just states that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing with the right funds. It starts out with the amount for the beginning of the year. You put in your expenses, you put in your revenues, and it gives you your balance at the end. And hopefully that balances off with your checkbook. So it's a simple process. It shouldn't take a whole lot of time to do, but it is something. And that form needs to be presented to the board so that it shows that you have okay. And then again, that financial form also needs to be filed under the chapter filings under the member 2.0. And that should be done every year.
I just had my reviewer mail it to Nashville.
Well, that's fine. Because then they will post that way.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was something I was going to say about that. I remember.
well, of course, the ASCAP and the other things that would be done in conjunction with the secretary and.
Yeah.
But, and then our insurance, we will get a notification of billing from Nashville about the annual insurance.
Right, and Actually, that came early this year.
No, January, I
We
think.
got ours in January, where
February, yeah.
normally it was March. I wasn't quite ready for that, to be truthful. With the shortage of funds of the last couple of years, it was like, okay, who don't I pay this month? Oh, not really, but it put us down really, really close where I thought I was going to have to transfer some of our savings into the checking account just to cover it. But we started getting ad money, and so I was able to cover that. So it wasn't too big of an issue. So trying to think if there's I mentioned that on the restricted and social fund, me, that's one of the big things we need to be very careful of. Sometimes our boards like to spend money on social events, and you're only allowed to spend what your dues cover if you have dues. Otherwise, the members need to pay that to themselves. It cannot be taken out of show or singing Valentine proceeds. Needs to be, like I say, members only fund. Those are usually unrestricted. Also, there's always been questions about, hey, this guy's having problems, lost his job, he can't pay his dues. Can the chapter pay his dues? The answer is no, cannot. According to the IRS regulations, they cannot pay a member's dues. The chapter cannot pay a member's dues. Many chapters will have some call it an angel fund. There's many names for it. And these are funds outside of the chapter books. Somebody, not necessarily as treasurer, takes donations from the members, keeps it separate. Then if there's someone who's having some issues financially, they can give the treasurer, we'll say, the dues money for that individual. He can put it in as a in and out expense, pay the dues that way. If I do that, I put it in as pay as you sing, so it actually goes into an in and out account. I use the credit card for the chapter to pay the dues, and everything is.
Yeah, we established the Larry Knipper Angel Fund.
Okay.
So that's what, yeah. Yeah.
Many names over the course of the chapters, what they call it. We call ours the Angel Fund, but I think it was also called something else years ago, so I'm not sure.
Hey, let me try something on. We haven't had to do this, but we've thought about it when we had people with problems, and we say, okay, look, you can't pay your dues, but I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll hire you to maintain the music sheets, or to clean up the rehearsal room, and it'll be so much money, which just happens to conveniently be fairly close to what the dues would have cost. Now, I mean, and you really do expect the person to do what he's outlined to do. And then if it's under $600, it doesn't come out reflected as a 1099 issue. I guess that's okay, as long as the intent is there and the work is there. Yeah.
That's a good question. I think personally, I would probably go send that question to customer service to get a ruling on that. I don't see why it wouldn't be I don't see a problem with it, because you're actually getting a service for the payment.
And we haven't had to do it, but it has been a head scratcher.
Yeah.
In the past.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I would say that's tricky territory.
How do you feel about scholarship? I mean, if you call it a scholarship and you're helping somebody get connected to barbershop, isn't that kind of what we do?
Well, I guess I'm going to say, yeah, that would be okay. It wouldn't be any different than if you sent a individual to Harmony University and paid their way.
Mhm.
And you put it under scholarship. I would believe that you could probably be okay with that.
I think especially in the case of a young person that may not be used to paying out that kind of a membership
Yeah,
fee, you know.
yeah.
Mhm.
Those are, there's a comment in your membership or your treasurer's manual. It says that funds cannot be used to inure an individual. You pay one, you got to pay everybody. So some of that area is just kind of I think that's why the angel funds were set up, so that it was all outside of the chapter. I don't think, I mean, I haven't heard of a chapter being audited by the IRS. I'm not sure how they would look at that, So I would say you could probably do it as a scholarship. You would be all right if you had set up a criteria for the scholarship. We mentioned insurance. The liability insurance and bond insurance is automatic from VHS. There's a rate they set. There's a flat rate plus so much per member, and that's what you get billed. I used to know what that flat rate was, but I haven't checked on it the last couple of years. And then the other thing that many chapters are now taking advantage of is the property insurance. You got risers, you got music, all those assets. If something would happen, or a trailer, if something would happen, you're just stuck to replace. So I would say that, we've in our property insurance, I think we pay a couple $100 a year. And that, excuse me, I got somebody waiting to come in here, I thought. Yeah, maybe not. Well, okay. But we have our risers, and especially our music, we have that listed as part of our property. If a water pipe would break in the room and flood all of our music, you're out several $100s or even thousands of dollars of music, depending on how many file cabinets you have of it. So that's something that's relatively inexpensive, but yet good coverage to have. I'm sorry.
Just out of curiosity, I had never thought about it. I just got the bill from VHS and sent it off for the liability insurance. It looked kind of about close to what we paid previously. But I guess I wasn't, it's sort of obvious, but I wasn't thinking that it was the fee amount is based on your membership number.
Yeah, your liability insurance is based on your membership.
Which caused me to wonder how they work that when you've got people who are members of multiple chapters.
Well, they're getting double dipped from us, is what they're doing.
And we have old people who still retain a membership in part because they're old enough to, but we don't see them. I mean,
Exactly. exactly. Which I wish I would have checked on that. One time it was like, I want to say $60 was the base price. And then there was so much per member. And I know as our membership has been decreasing, so has our liability insurance. But yeah, we have a number of members who have been on the rolls for a long time. We've
Yeah.
never seen them. They keep their membership. We have two members who are literally across the United States, one in Tennessee and one in Florida, who they keep their membership here. So we get our member dues are $20, so we get their member dues for that. And I'm guessing that would probably pay their portion of the liability insurance. So you
Yeah.
are getting, if you have your dues high enough, you can pay for some of that. I'll have to check in to see what that rate is now. I know I can email customer service and they'll tell me that, but
Yeah, and I assume they just go off the rolls that are there in the BHS.
yeah, and that's
accounts.
usually as of December 31st is what they
Yeah.
count that as.
So, yeah, I mean, gosh, we paid 300, I don't know. Can't remember now, $340, $320, $370, something. We just paid them. We're not a big chapter.
Right.
It wasn't substantially different from years past, but it made me think, gosh, I wonder what our rate would be if we actually were charged based on actively participating members.
Well, it wouldn't change a whole lot. I mean, it would change some, depending on how many you have as inactive.
Yeah.
But since so far they have not established what I would call an inactive member status. You're either a member or you're not.
Yeah.
And so some of those things do hurt. I guess if you're ambassadors and you have 200 people on the rolls, but you only have 140 guys singing, that could make a big difference.
Yeah.
The rest of us don't have to worry about that.
And lots of shows and that sort of thing. I mean, basically with the COVID times, it's been okay, sneak out and sing at a couple of churches and then we're done.
Yeah. We are doing our first live show the end of April. And we did do a live Christmas show with the Des Moines Sweatlines, and that we had a nice audience for that, about 500 people. So we were real pleased with that. Okay, I have a question here from Super Dave. Do many chapters have a combined secretary treasurer position? I don't know of any.
I can tell you I am.
Who said that?
David.
David. Oh, okay. You are, okay. Does that work well for you?
Well, our chapter is pretty small. We have about 15 members, so we just
Okay.
kind of have to do it out of necessity.
Okay. I don't see any reason why that should be an issue. As long as you like you got 15 people, so probably handle that quite well. I guess the other question I would have, what type of program do you use for accounting? I'm going to ask that for everybody here soon, but David,
Sure.
do you have?
Yeah, we just have an Excel document that we keep everything in. We're not using
Okay.
QuickBooks or anything.
Okay. Let me start again. The society has an Excel set of documents, for keeping your chapter funds. And I used those for years and years, and they work out really nice. One sheet, Form 1, you put in your expenses. Form 2, you put in your revenue, and then it automatically starts filling in Forms 3 and 4. That does work out very nice. You can see those in the treasurer's manual. Like I said, I used those for years and years, and I finally went to Quick for my chapter funds. But how about anybody else? What else? What does George? What do you use?
Well, I have used Quicken. I mean, the guy that I took over from 2 years ago was a Quicken guy. Yeah, he's one of those young guys. I mean, got to be a Quicken. I'm going. And I'd been the treasurer for our homeowners association for a number of years, and I just used Excel spreadsheets to do that with. So I tried the Quicken, and then our doggone bank redid their computers. I say redid the computers. They came up with a new software, and everything just blew up. It was probably my fault for not fixing some things and freezing some things early, and so I just finally went, "Oh, the heck with that! I can't correlate the Quicken anymore," because when they finished reworking their computers, that's not an elegant term, reworking their computers, but the software. And all.
We
And
all
I
know
tried-
what that means.
And I tried to log in to the bank, and I ended up with 2 accounts. One which was before the reworking, and one and they didn't match, and so I'm back to Excel spreadsheet, which is fine with me at the moment, as long as somebody isn't looking for some sophisticated forms that this correlates to this form and matches here and there, because all the information's there.
John, what type of accounting forms do you use?
Me,
John McNamara, yeah.
I use Excel spreadsheet. I use QuickBooks for the checkbook. I use Excel for the monthly reports.
Okay. Do you ever use the reports from QuickBooks?
No, well,
Okay.
yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay,
Like if I want to do how did we do on the show?
right,
Well, I'll key everything in accounts to the show, and then I can run a report in QuickBooks strictly for the show.
right. QuickBooks have a great reporting capacity.
It just
I
doesn't
use-
come out the way I want it when I report it to the board, because I do sub accounts.
Yeah. I use QuickBooks for the district. We started using those several years ago, and Paul Cartwright set up the accounts, and I just keep using that. So that works out really nice for the district. And I use Quicken for the chapter.
Interesting.
But I also have a report that I do for the board that actually runs off of Excel. So, and see here, Tom, what do you?
I have used the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. And I don't use any Quicken, any QuickBooks. I made up my own spreadsheets. One of them at a glance shows everything for the year on one page. And the other one keeps track of the banking, the day I wrote the check, the day I cleared the check, and so forth. And I've got everything I want, because again, we're a very small chapter. We only have $7,000 in our account, and it's going down, of course. But no, I can complete everything that I want to do that way. Very little time.
Jim, what do you use? Bergman,
Excel. Have for-
Excel? Okay,
And it's doing this real good.
I know the Kansas City chapter that I review, they use an Excel spreadsheet someone developed years ago, and they just keep using it. It has all the information on it, and it rolls into their forms, and so it worked out pretty nice.
Yeah, well, with Excel, I have to, when I do the financial statements, I enter the information manually into the financial statement. And that's what Quicken would do for me. But it's
Yeah.
not that information. It's not that a burden.
Yeah, I reconcile with both the accounting forms.
But when I was running the homeowners association, I had tabs for every expenditure area for the association. You know, one for water and one for electricity and one for groundskeeping and all those tabs, and then all the inputs from there. And then I had one on, the main tab was the fund for the year and where we stood at any given time. But
Sure.
Like Jim, I had to do it manually, but that was okay, because if anybody ever wanted to know how much we spent for water last year, it took me that long to pull it up.
Yeah, exactly.
How does your board react to your reports, your financial reports? Do they care?
Oh, I think so, but there's never a comment. Oh, hardly ever, it's pretty cut and dried. But when you say care, I think so, yes, but there's, like I say, there's not much to it. Occasionally they'll say, well, can you project? One guy said, can you project where we'll be at the end of the year, which is a nice thing. And so I did that one year, but
Oh.
there's not too much, except I just report, and I send them ahead of time the spreadsheets that show all of the activity before the board meeting. I send them electronically to them.
Okay,
That's good.
One thing I did actually when I was the president, and we did an annual budget. And frankly, right now, I don't have an annual budget because we're coming out of COVID. We don't know what we got. We don't know if we'll have a show when and that sort of thing. But when we were more systematic and we had the annual budget, that also gave me the gravitas when somebody waltzed in and said, "Oh, I need to be reimbursed for this," and I'd go, "Well, you didn't ask for permission. You didn't ask for permission for three nights worth of rooms at the district competition that we didn't budget for. Maybe we won't reimburse you for that." And then that starts a discussion. Well, sometimes you end up doing it anyway, but now you've got everybody's attention that they can't just, waltz in and drop a bill on you, that they require a priori permission before they start buying some new uniform item or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a president talking about it being a treasurer, but
yeah. Budgets are good to help you do that, if you can do that. Yes,
I looked up somewhere and it talked about the three officers in a chapter are the president, secretary, and treasurer.
right?
I thought, well, so what? And then it dawned on me, that probably means those are the three people who can obligate the money with or without board permission. And so there's got to be trustworthy guys.
Yeah, that's true. Those three individuals are what I call the core group. Some will call them an executive committee if you want, but they need to work together so that, I will say, inappropriate funds or requests are paid out. And yeah, I think what George is talking about is really good. You set up that budget, someone throws a bill at you. Hey, that's not in the budget, sorry, and stand your ground with it. Unfortunately, there's times in the past that I wasn't quite as strict on that as I should have been. I can remember back when we bought a brand new trailer for our risers. It was just a nice white trailer. One of the guys took it to a paint shop and had decals put on the trailer, had our name, our website, whatever. I mean, it looked really nice, but he didn't ask anybody if he could do that. And then we got a bill for, I don't know, maybe it was $600-700. I can't remember. Maybe it wasn't even that much. But I took that bill to the board and I said, this was an unauthorized purchase. You need to approve it or disapprove it. And so that does happen. I have any other questions over here?
Yeah, well, along that same line, with this last year and a half, we've actually gone and had women join our chorus, a number
Uh-huh.
of wives, and actually they saved us in a lot of ways because they kept the numbers up, and even husband and wife would actually come back and join when they had left. But that then invites a question of different uniforms,
Yeah,
and yeah, they you can get your pocket picked pretty quickly if you're not demanding a pre-approval
right.
of a purchase. And in a couple of cases, they, got away with a few things they probably shouldn't have, but they were working off of Sweet Adeline's kind of a local process, whatever the SOP had been from the local group there. But
Yeah. That's an interesting concept.
I'm not
I had-
sure buying matching earrings was, probably something that, but there it was. Here's your bill.
Yeah. I had, our chorus back when Everything in Harmony started, we were talking about, we had a gal who wanted to start actually a women's chorus with us, not join us, but actually have a separate chorus. So we would have men's chorus and a women's chorus in Des Moines. Because there was issues with the Adeline chorus. Anyway, but uniforms was one of those things I hadn't even thought about. Because I know that my wife is a Sweet Adeline, and she spends a lot of money on uniforms. And then they end up belonging also to the chapters, not hers. So it's something to think about when you're getting women involved in
Yeah.
in the
Well,
chapter.
then it begs the question of, okay, if you leave the chapter, whatever, then, turn in that dress. It's going to go into the chorus closet. Oh, well,
Yeah.
we didn't mean to do that, because it's kind of a nice dress.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you really have to have understandings of that.
Yeah, that's a whole new area that obviously the men's chapters are not. It's one thing to buy a bunch of tuxes, but when you start to get into accessories, that can be expensive.
Yeah, it definitely is. And then you now have an issue of, which we've held off for the time being. We just said, look, we're not doing a show. Because we can't go crazy. Is they'll have different kinds of music they want to have. And you say, well, wait a minute, I've got 7 file cabinets full of music, through the years. I do, which raises a question: what does a chapter do with music if they don't really need it all? But
one of the things we did, I think it was last year, the year before, we went through all of our music, and of all the songs that we thought we would probably never sing again, they kept one sheet in the file so that we would know what we had, and then we just recycled the rest of the paper. It cut down on room on the file cabinets, and prior to that, several years ago, when the copyright was the big issue, one of the guys who was very up on the copyrights, he went through all of our music in the files, got rid of everything that was illegal, which most of the choruses probably still have in some of their files, illegal music. But he got rid of all that. And then we had all legal music, so we were okay. And a couple of years ago, we were scaling down again. And I made the suggestion, I said, we don't need to throw all of it out, at least keep one copy so that we know that if we ever want to do it again, we know what it was and, where we bought it, so forth. We did do that.
We as individuals probably have a lot of illegal music in our, I know I probably do. And it's quite restrictive as to how you can use it. For example, I've gone to 15 of these harmony brigades, and you bought that music, but that was just for use for that brigade. You can't legally use that. Say if you're going to compete in a quartet, or if you're going to sing it in your own quartet or something like that. So it gets pretty picky.
Yeah. You certainly don't want to get caught using illegal music by the copyright people. They show no mercy, from what I understand. Something else. I'm going to mention at 11 o'clock, it's 10, I show it's 10:14 right now. At 11 o'clock, we're supposed to be going into a joint session with the secretaries and presidents. What I don't know is whose room we're going to go into. So it might be that we're going to have to log off and then come back into that room. That's my understanding. And I'm guessing it's going to be the president's room. Dwayne will probably we'll just go in with Dwayne's class. I'm hoping that Super Dave got started in the secretary's class. I noticed that there's a message here. Thanks, guys. I will go check out the secretaries again.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen him back, so I guess he's probably okay in there.
On the CSD email that has all the links, there is a separate link for the president, secretary, and treasurer combined to join that.
Right.
Well,
yeah,
why didn't I read that message?
Well, you're too busy being treasurer, Larry.
Jeez. Well, thank you for clarifying that for me.
That's fine.
Was that from the CSD that came through on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Same area where we clicked on this one for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yep, right.
I guess I will go look for that again.
Which begs the question, it shows the treasurers from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then the president, secretary from 11 to 1. But I'm assuming that by the time we finish here and before we join that joint session, that will be done. Is that?
I told Brett originally that I wanted 2 hours. And then I said, if I can go from 9 to 11, I'll be just fine. And then 11 o'clock, we can do the combined and I'll be done. Unless there's some hot topics that we need to finish up on, and I don't hear there is. I mean, we're all, I believe, have been treasurers for several years, for a couple of years at least. So you somewhat know what your third year, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to add something. I got it late where I couldn't speak, but there was some conversation about the DUNS number.
Uh-huh.
And you're going to need that as you apply for grants.
Okay.
So I'm in the process of getting that number. And then there's a UES number you get from sam.gov. And we have some Nebraska grants, the Area Arts Council, and I have to have those 2 numbers.
Oh, okay.
To apply. So that's where those 2 numbers are going to come in.
What was that second one that you said?
UES. It has to do with sam.gov. I wrote down over here. Yeah.
But hey, Jim,
Hi.
what kind of grants are you getting out of your state that from
Right
the
now,
Arts
the Arts Council, they have a difficult grant, they say, and you plan ahead and it's gonna take 3 or 4 months and you send it in and then have them critique it and then you make the final presentation, which sounds pretty extreme. But they also said what you need to do is get the $500 grant. They said we're near as serious about it. If everything qualifies and it sounds reasonable, they just grant it. So like our Christmas show, we're thinking about having, there's an Omaha quartet that's pretty sharp. Let's see if we can get them to come out for $500. Or how about if we have a big light show and have the Santa come in and all that. So that brings in more parents with kids and then it increases the audience. Stuff like that, $500. And then on our annual show next year, I plan on applying for $500 so I can get the chorus that's an hour away. They always come anyway, but now we can reimburse them a little better than what they were getting because they're eventually going to tire out on us. And then if they come, you get a bigger audience. They're going to bring some people with them. And that's what I was kind of looking at. That's my active grant searches right now. During COVID, we just applied and they gave us $10,000. That just got it started. We bought new Ryu. So, and keep in mind, these grant people are well aware that COVID is stalling out things. And they're worried about our kind of organization, believe it or not. They're worried about the quilting organization that hasn't met for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was all.
And you're where are you, Jim?
Kearney, Nebraska.
Nebraska.
And so we just start buying, but you got to get your numbers ready and get everything right that way.
Yeah.
And then you got to have some creative people come up with a need. We can get along. We don't need any of that money, but we could enhance our audience. I'd think of it that way. How can we get a bigger audience? We can get another 10 people. We're pretty simple. Whatever we need 10, whatever it is. So but that's where the Dunn's number comes in. Dunn and Bradstreet.
Larry?
Yeah.
If there's time for a question.
Yeah.
If you could, do you have a clean, fresh 1099 NEC that you could look at with me?
Yeah,
There are 5 sheets on that form.
right.
Maybe I'm a little dense, but I'm trying to figure something out on them. I guess my mind works in strange ways, but the 5th sheet, the bottommost one says prepare. That's for me. That's for Tom, who sent that in. That's obvious. Then the next 2 working from the back to be filed with recipients. For recipient, those 2 go to Chad, my director. But it's this, and the top one, the red one goes to the IRS. But the second one, it says for state tax, who does that go to? Would that be Chad?
That would go to Chad also.
Okay, yeah, I guess I assumed that. All right. So I was just trying to get things straight here.
There are some states, Iowa's not one of them, that requires the 1099 to be filed with them.
Yeah, that's why I was maybe a little confused.
Iowa does not. I don't know if any of the other states require that,
Okay,
but
Got
I would
it.
give that to Chad. And
okay, got it.
okay,
Yep, thanks.
are there any other questions right now? Well, guys, I'm needing to take a bio break. And so I will be back in a couple of minutes.
All righty. I don't know about you other guys, but I looked at all of the forms. I've got the treasurer's manual I printed, from VHS and all of it seems just way overcomplicated for me. And a lot of things I didn't understand in the language of keeping, as long as I write down in my spreadsheets what everything's for, keep very good records, I think I've got it covered. And so I find it very overcomplicated. It might be good for the ambassadors or big organizations.
Yeah, that's kind of where I got to, Tom. A homeowners association treasurer duties were much more detailed
Right.
than this. I say detailed, I mean, you know, there was a lot more going on.
A lot more categories to keep track of. And
Yeah.
Right.
And I think I had, like I said, I think I had about 8 tabs or something like that, of different kinds of expenditures. But, you know, I mean, you know, I'd have to sit down for a few minutes, you know, a couple times a week and log in. Whenever I paid a bill, I made sure I put it on my spreadsheet and
Right.
you know, then I could, at any point in time, boom, I could
Yeah.
tell anybody where we stood.
Right. Good.
And that was a lot easier than Quicken for me.
Yes.
I mean, Quicken's nice if it'll read your bank statement for you, but you know, once I went through the episode I went through when they updated the bank software and twisted, you know, flipped everything over on me, I just said, I'm done with that.
Because these simple computations take, my gosh, 10, 15 minutes a month or something. I mean, it's crazy. It's just,
Yeah.
there's nothing to it. I enjoy doing that. Drives my wife nuts. She hates financial stuff.
All right, John, make your bed.
I was hoping we get a lot more treasurers who would participate since it's on Zoom, because we have how many chapters, but I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if they had a hard time logging in because
Could be.
you know, Larry was I mean, I had to wait about, what did we wait, 7 or 8 minutes? And
Yeah.
I switched computers.
When we met at, was it St. Joe back in 2020, just before the COVID outbreak shut things down, we had only, I think, about 5 of us there at the in-person meeting. So I thought, oh, maybe we'll get 20, 30, 40 today.
yeah, that's what
A
I
lot
was.
of guys could
hoping.
probably use it, but hopefully they know what they're doing. I came in without any knowledge, and the previous treasurer had not made some payments, and I had quite a bit of catch-up stuff to do, but I just want to make sure I'm filing everything properly.
Yeah, well, I was kind of like that. I mean, I didn't get a great handover. And
good work.
because that guy was on to Quicken, and you know, it made it very difficult to sit there at a table and just correlate. And then COVID
Right.
hit. Hell, for a while, I couldn't even get into the church where we keep our files, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, wasn't all pretty.
Right.
Larry, you got a folded flag behind you there. Are you a veteran?
No, that's my dad's.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we got that when he passed away, and
Yeah.
he was also a volunteer fireman for 45, 46 years. And we had a final call service for his memorial service, which was really, really good. I had never been through one of those before, and it was very moving.
Yeah, we buried my dad, and he was almost 96. We buried him at West Point in last October. That was a pretty special event.
Yeah. Uh, Trying to think, there anything else that has come up that you want to share with us in your day-to-day treasurer's operations? I'm looking for a piece of paper that I printed off this morning, and I can't find it. So I'm kind of at a loss at the moment. I'm sure that all of you are, your board doesn't treat you just as a bean counter. That you're important to the board. I trust that each of you have that role, and you know, they know that you're not just there to do numbers for them.
Yeah, I feel that way. That I
Yeah,
am, that, as you say, yes.
One thing that I have found, because I've been doing this so long, that a lot of times they're going to ask me a question about procedures years ago, or maybe what we did as do a certain event. And usually I am on top of that stuff, and I can answer their questions without too much issue. I try to be a good resource person for both the chapter and then now the district. I've been district treasurer for what, 11 years now, and I will get questions from different officers. Did we ever do this, or can we do this? And I try to be as truthful with them as I can, and I'm not trying to pull any wool over their eyes or overstate the obvious, I guess you could say. So I'm glad that you all feel that you're important to your boards.
They asked me if we can do something or not, and then I just go back to the numbers and see how much we got here, how much we spent, what I anticipate we're gonna spend.
Yeah.
Try to stick with that.
We did something interesting the first of the year. Of course, some of the CSD regulations had lifted, and so we were trying to figure out how to. We had already been back to face-to-face rehearsals. We rehearse at Grandview University, and they require masks anytime you're in a classroom, so that was no issue. But at least we were able to rehearse. We had the board wanted to do some type of a membership promotion social function. And in January, we had a bowling party, first Thursday of January. Couldn't do it on the Monday, which was our regular meeting night, but we were able to do it on a Thursday that week. And I was having trouble because what surprised me was we had talked about it at the board meeting. We said we were going to do it. It was going to be about $27 a person, which included food and all this kind of stuff, and a couple of drink tickets. I didn't catch that this was a chapter expense. It was going to be a chapter expense. And when I got the message from the president to pay, or I guess it was the events guy, that I needed to pay $400 deposit, I understood that. So I paid the $400. And I kept thinking, okay, this is under social, that's not a problem. But then when we did that, and I realized, and it was just, like I said, it was a surprise to me that the chapter was picking this up, and that the members were not contributing to it, I got frustrated. Because I didn't know how much this was actually going to cost. We didn't know how many guys were showing up. We didn't know how many guests were going to be there. So I was at a quandary of how I was going to account for this. And as it ended up, I think we had another $700 that night, so it wasn't a real big deal. But I ended up putting it under the social activities. But then I thought, because it was a membership promotion, I could have used some of that funds as from operating for being a membership drive. So I was at kind of an odds at that for a while, and it took me a while to get it in my head that I was okay with it. So I was wondering if
otherwise it came for what dues it contributed, you mean?
yeah.
Yeah, right.
So I finally decided that, and I knew that we were going to be able to, over the year, cover that social event with dues. We didn't have the money right then, but at the end of the year, it would have been covered by our chapter dues. So then I was okay with that. But it was not that it was keeping me up at night, don't get me wrong, but it was a real concern because I would be sitting thinking about, I'm not supposed to use operating funds for social activities, but yet it's a membership fund or membership drive because we were inviting guests, and we had quite a few guests that night. But it was a bowling party with food.
So you ended up using dues.
Well, I'm going to be using dues to pay it, is what
But
I'm
then
going to
if
do.
something else comes up and you don't think you can cover, you say, sorry, just can't do that.
So far, we haven't really scheduled very many social events, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, I in keeping with my stance on getting a priori approval for expenditures, I actually invented a form. I mean, nothing complicated about it, but basically it was whoever was going to be asking for the funds had to fill out this form about, precisely, what it was for. And it's something that took them about, 45 seconds to fill out in most cases. But so I file those things. So I know exactly what the purpose was. And it kind of keeps people a little bit honest. It keeps them from going to the store and deciding, well, what the hell, we got enough money to buy fancy earrings. Just.
Yeah.
Jordan,
Well, it
something
kind of
you
caught
might
me
have
off guard because, and I could have missed the conversation. I'm not saying that, but somewhere along the line, it didn't click that this was a chapter paid activity to me. Apparently everybody else understood that. And so I had to rectify that in my own mind, just what was going on. And I told him afterwards, I said, next time I need to be more aware of what you are actually spending. So it was something that my experience should have taught me to question it earlier, and I didn't. So it was one of those things that, I was able to take care of it, but it was something that kind of
A lot of
disconcerted me
times
for a while.
board members don't even understand what the social fund is, and how it works, where the money comes from, what your limitations are. They just don't know.
Yeah. And I try to tell them that, but it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. So.
Larry, we haven't for several years, but we used to have our installation kind of a dinner, and we would sometimes rent a space and we would pay for food for it. Would that all have to come from chapter dues? We installed okay, that would be considered a social function, even though we're in conjunction with the installation.
And if your
okay.
chapter dues does not cover that, then it's up to the board to tell the membership, hey, if your dinner is $25 and the chapter can afford 10, you need to owe us your $15 and your spouse's $25 or however, or your guest or whatever.
Yeah, right.
So, which over the years, we used to do a lot of the social events, and that's what it was always paid by the members. We
Yeah,
didn't do
yeah.
chapter expenses on social. Yeah, cookies and soda for the chapter meetings. And that could be either program expense or social. I always put it in social, but it could just have easily been part of the program expense for that.
Did you ever
After
come to
meeting.
one of our cookie festivals that we call it in May, or you know of it?
I know of it, yes.
Now would that be out of dues then too? If we, of course, most people contribute the cookies, but we might buy some lemonade, coffee, or whatever. Would that be considered from dues driven
Yes.
money?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it is a social event, I guess, right?
And you don't charge anybody to,
No.
it's a free
Not for, that's
free
right,
event.
correct.
I think that
Yeah.
can come under program expense. Because that's a program that Iowa City's running.
And that could be a program, it could be used as a program expense. Yes, that's true too. Either way. Like I say, some of that stuff is kind of on the borderline of which is, which way you need to go, but
Yeah.
as long as you can justify it, then you're fine with it. And again, I don't.
Okay,
think
here's
the
a
IRS is
question
gonna
along
look at
that
us.
line. I'm trying to pull up my spreadsheet to see if I can find it, but I got a check here about 6 weeks ago from the society that was circling back to the chapter for certain donations that had been made to the society by a couple of our members.
Uh-huh.
And it came back as the chapter. And I went, well, okay, that was kind of nice. It was, $150, $200, something like that. I could look it up here and see. But in any case, and I said, I wonder if that counts as could go into the social pot.
Not really.
Light we can shed on that, and that is the tax exempt status of the person who gave the money. If they want to write it off, then it has to go in restricted funds. If they don't care what happens to it, it can go in unrestricted funds. But if they want to write it off, it has to go in restricted funds.
But it actually came from VHS, right?
Right. Yeah, the check
It
came
didn't
back.
come from the individual. It came from VHS.
No, they wrote a check to BHS and BHS sent a portion back to us.
Right.
It was a little hard to tell. I didn't get a lot of detail from BHS. I just mostly got a check in the mail.
That should, I think that's coming from the BHS Development Fund. That's their new fundraiser side of them now. So it's really a donation from BHS, not from the individuals.
Right. But I'm trying to look here and see if I find out where it is. Yeah, $270 back to us in December.
Right.
And I don't know what to do with it. I mean, I know it goes into the bank account, but I don't know. I slapped it under social fund and, unless I'm told differently.
I think you're all right there.
Okay.
I have for the district, I have a line item specifically BHS development. And the districts operate a lot different than the chapter, but because we get monthly ACHs from BHS for those funds. And I just put that in that, but the district doesn't really have a social fund per se. Everything pretty much is, even though we get members' dues, the district just operated as a different animal. That took me a while to get used to,
Yeah, which makes sense, but
because everything for the district is programming. It'd be like the Harmony Foundation. What do you do with the Harmony Foundation money? Do you get money from them twice a year?
Yeah, I do. We put it in the social fund.
So you put in the social fund.
yeah,
Okay.
and I think that's probably what this was for, was the Harmony Foundation, you know, a portion back to us. I'd never seen
Well,
it before, but then
There's
again,
actually two fundraisers now. There's the Harmony Foundation. They issue checks twice a year in the spring and the fall. And then BHS last year developed their own fundraising group, if you will, where guys can donate to BHS and request up to 80% back to the chapter or district.
well, that would be it then.
So you are actually getting money from members who donated to BHS.
Yeah, and I know who they are. I mean, they
Yeah.
gave me their names.
Right.
But I
'Cause
didn't,
in those donations, they can make it anonymous, or they can let their names be known.
okay. Well, that's what it is. Wow, now that
That's
helps me
neat.
understand.
And those come monthly. If they do a reoccurring donation,
Right.
monthly donation, then you will get that money every month. District, we get it through an ACH payment. We don't get checks. So I just get a notice from Nick, and it says that you're getting this amount of money. Here are the donors. When I go to the checkbook or the statement, I see that what day it was entered. So that comes monthly from VHF, or it can.
There was a big hullabaloo over that last year. I never heard about the ins and outs. Don Howard was talking, they were fighting each other for,
Oh, yeah.
I never did get that sorted out, but that's not a matter for here, but.
Well,
it's-
and Harmony Foundation lost a lot of members because of that fighting. So, but then VHS gained those guys, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Personal about this, I was on the President's Council of Harmony Foundation, and I had requested 30% to come back to the chapter, which, that's what it was. After they were doing this infighting, I said, the heck with that. We're under COVID. My chapter needs the money more than the 30% that I'm giving them. So I canceled in February last year. I canceled my donations to Harmony Foundation. We now have our own fundraising portal that we can donate directly to the chapter through Groupanizer. And I take that money now and send it to the chapter each month. And all it's costing the chapter is the credit card. So 95% of my money that I was giving to Harmony Foundation and only getting 30 back now goes to the chapter. And we have a number of guys in our chapter that are doing that now. So I'm not saying it's right, it's wrong, that's just what we're doing. And we're asking guys to donate directly to the chapter instead of to Harmony Foundation or BHS, simply because of COVID. It gets to the point where we're getting our shows and all the other stuff that revenues coming in. We might not need that money anymore, but at least for right now. And that's what I told Harmony Foundation when I canceled. I said, right now, we're not able to do live performances. We're not generating any revenue. I want my money to go to my chapter. And the guys and JJ understood it. And but that's me. No, it's more than the $20 they get from me for my dues once a year. Okay, I got 1047. Unless there's any other burning questions, I think I'm going to end this call. Then you can, at 11 o'clock, log into the President, Secretary, and Treasurer's class. I really appreciate everybody's participation today. I think it's a lot better than me just sitting going through slides. In the PowerPoint, which I think probably everybody's seen those before. So, and I was trying to go through those in my head as I was talking. So,
All
that's the
righty.
case.
Well, we'll see you in 15 minutes or 10.
Yeah. Okay. Again,
12.
thanks guys so much. I really appreciate your participation, and I hope you have a good year as treasurer in your chapter.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.